hands-on or technical or tactile or, whatever type service.
All right, we're live.
All right. So, guys, I want to start with the post I saw from John Russin. Russin, is that how you say his name?
Yep.
I
so.
remember him. There it is. AI will never replace personal trainers. It's just silly. You're just silly to think so. And then, you look at the comments below. I mean, it's probably 50-50. To me, I can't even understand. I can't comprehend what world somebody lives in. Not calling him out. I think he's probably a great trainer. I've followed him for years. He's got great stuff. Dave and I disagree on this topic also. Last night I was falling asleep. I always listen to interviews and documentaries, and they were talking about quantum computing, how quantum computing is going to revolutionize everything, how we're going exponentially bigger on what a computer can do. And so to think that like a human can ever keep up with a computer, it's like there's just no world that it's possible. And even the stuff we used to think like intelligence was irreplaceable. Now we know that that's the easiest thing to replace. The smartest people are the easiest people to replace. So then I think Dave's going to say, well, you can't replace a plumber. I think you can. I think there are robots, and once computers are building robots to replace the physical task. Like we have massage robots already that do a better job than humans. We have so many robots specialized for things that humans can never do, crawl through pipes and get underground and do all these things. Every single thing is going to be replaced. Dave, where am I going wrong?
I have so many places to start. Let's start with your most recent trip to the East Coast, to Hilton Head. Why didn't you just put on Oculus goggles? Why didn't you and your family just put on the Oculus and stay in Ohio? And that would have been your vacation. You would have saved the time, the travel, the rental of the house you guys all were in. You could have done digital fishing. You showed us a picture of a fish that was half eaten by a shark, and you posted that online. I don't understand why you didn't just stay in Ohio, and you could have shared your digital vacation to Hilton Head, but instead you actually flew or drove and rented a huge house and had all the Meritados gather. And the answer is, I'll cut you off because I want to answer my question, which is because of the in-person experience. The in-person experience cannot be taken by a digital experience. That's why people still fly to have experiences, go travel to Europe, travel all over the world. I think whether it's travel, whether it's physical therapy, personal training, some of the health and wellness, health experiences, healthcare experiences, that's my bias. What do you think? What do you think, Tony? What do you got?
I'm going to say today you are correct. Tomorrow, I don't think you're going to be correct. And Jimmy, I imagine you saw Star Trek. I imagine you're a Trekkie. Like there was a holodeck that you you could be on the spaceship and it was imperceptible of reality. There are tools, there are devices, there are ways that, even right now, I mean, there's like virtual fishing and all this stuff where you could actually feel the fish. You could get the same dopamine hit. You get the variable response. You don't know when the fish is going to strike. You don't know what kind of fish it's going to be. And it can all be simulated. I do think we're going to be in that world. Maybe not in our lifetime, but I do think that world is coming. And it's scary. And I don't want to, I don't know how we're going to adapt to that world.
Yeah.
So today, yes, I have to get in a car and drive 12 hours or take a plane or do whatever to have the physical experience. And I would say that there's a difference between we're doing this for recreation, we're doing this for enjoyment, we're doing this because we want the experience. I take my wife out to dinner. I want a 60-minute, 90-minute dinner experience. I'm driving down the road to an appointment. I need to get some food in my belly. I just want a quick fix for the hunger pang. That's it. These are very different things. And so I think there's a world for both. Jimmy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think the word is never. right? That we were taught in school, watch for never and always, and then that it makes it hard to be true. I can have an opinion, but I'll just go on the opinion of Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's an astrophysicist. Somebody asked him why we haven't found alien life yet. Like, if they're so advanced, if another culture is so advanced for a million years, how come we haven't bumped into each other? And he said this: as things advance, we actually as a culture go in, not out. What he's saying is what Dave just described, putting on a haptic suit and goggles and earphones to do an experience, is pretty good right now. It's better than it was 25 years ago. It's light years better than 100 years ago. But 15 years from now, if we're increasing exponentially, I don't even know if I can wrap my head around that. That's the thing. So what he means by going in is if we can have experiences. I mean, do you remember the movie Ready Player One? Do you guys remember that one? I read the book, and it was like a tween sort of novel, but it was written by some guys who have written for Wired Magazine and Boing Boing. And like, they're able to do this thing, which is whatever we have now, they go like 7 or 8 steps in the future, and they can sort of predict with insane accuracy, like that you almost wonder if there's a time machine that they can see these things happening. But what they're doing is they're what Chris Johnson, who's a writer, would say is he's just basing it on like a checkerboard. If we're standing here, what would happen if there's AI that could do this? What would happen if that was multiplied by 100 or 1,000? I think saying never for anything at this point is wrong. There's no way, like, we're past the point where we can even predict that.
So let me jump back on that. So John Russin, he posts things like this. It's almost like a Joey Albritton type post. This is similar to the posts I've done in the past, where he's trying to get people to respond and comment. Let's be honest. I mean, it's obvious, right? And that's fine. That's totally cool.
Tony led with that.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, a little bit over 24 hours since John posted this, it's got 135 engagements on Facebook, 51 comments, 5 shares. We're talking about it, so obviously it's sparking some conversation with some people. I mean, he chose these words on purpose. I mean, I'll say this: I think physical therapists, in terms of like someone overcoming an ache or a pain or an injury or a nerve pain or coming out of total knee replacement surgeries, the folks that Tony's treating, I think those and us physical therapists are even safer from AI compared to personal trainers, because there's already so much, like, since COVID, of like, all right, you just put on like a YouTube video and then like you could work out, or you could have a personal trainer that is just remote only, and they do like a remote programming, they build your program, and you just speak with them over chat or email, or maybe you have like one monthly FaceTime video call, but otherwise, like, you have the accountability of yourself and like this digital program to work out. So I think actually trainers are a little bit more susceptible to all these changes with different apps, different technologies, and things that make it easier for consumers to exercise and work out. I think physical therapists, I think we are safer, especially for us on the premium side. Like, there's absolutely nothing digital. I'll say nothing. Almost never. There's almost nothing digital on the AI side that will replace the folks that pay us hundreds and thousands and then tens of thousands of dollars over time. Those folks will never use AI to replace what we do. In my opinion, I know my ideal clientele very well. I can, confidently say that. But it's the folks, like Tony kind of says, like, whether it's a personal training client, if it's a physical therapy patient, the ones that look at the experience or that task, is like, oh, this is mundane, this is boring, this is annoying, I don't want to go to physical therapy, but I have to go, whatever. I agree, Tony. Those folks will try to find the Sword Health, the Hinge Health, the AI physical therapy robot, whatever experience, and those folks might gravitate to that. But just to reiterate, like, John Russ knows what he's doing. He's trying to get engagements. He knows it's going to be like polarizing. He knows it's like you got to jump on one side of the fence or the other.
Yeah, I think it's a good question to ask. Like, but let me ask you this: if I were dropped from Mars tomorrow, what's the difference between a really, really, really great personal trainer and a shitty physical therapist? A license.
Yeah, not much.
Like, the really, really great personal trainer is better than the shitty physical therapist. The only difference is a license.
So you guys are reading my mind. This was one of the topics I wanted to bring up. I shared a screenshot of a post from the Doctor of Physical Therapy Facebook group. It was a therapist who basically was saying they have a patient, the patient wasn't improving, they don't know what to do with this patient, the patient was willing to pay out of pocket. They said in the post specifically, patient's willing to self-pay. What do I do? And so far, I haven't looked at it this morning, but from yesterday, there were a handful of comments. None of them were like, just let them self-pay. Like, why would we not move to self-pay? A bunch of them were, discharge them to a personal trainer. I'm like, what the heck is the difference between what you would do as a physical therapist delivering therapeutic exercise and what a personal trainer would do? There were therapists who were like, I work for a hospital. I don't even know how we could self-pay or how they could self-pay. I don't like they. So my point in sharing the screenshot was, like, I think we, you, us, anybody watching today, we forget. I was doing research on ChatGPT yesterday. There's like roughly 38,000 private practices estimated in the US right now. We forget like what a small slice of the profession we actually are, where we're willing to even consider that we could take a person beyond what insurance will pay for, that we could take a person from, injury to pre-morbid status to better than they were before the injury. We're in a bubble and we don't have perspective on the larger 300,000 other therapists that are out there, because the vast majority of them are not thinking in the way we are. Now, to your point, and what I wanted to hear was, so I shared that post on my feed, somebody we all know and love, I say that kind of sarcastically, said something about it's our ethical obligation to discharge them either to another provider, a personal trainer, or do the personal training themselves. And I'm like, why are you making this distinction between I'm a physical therapist doing therapeutic exercise or I am a personal trainer doing personal training exercise? It makes no sense to me. Dave, what are you thinking?
I mean, it's your ethical obligation to help that patient, client, consumer, however you're terming them. It's your ethical obligation to help that individual, that human that you basically went to school for, learned about the anatomy, the physiology, got a license, passed the board, then got the license, all that. I think it's our ethical obligation to help that individual. Now, if that individual says, well, that's too expensive, then you could say, okay, let's see what other options there are out there. But to just say you should be discharging them, that's your ethical obligation. That individual is just so far deep in the insurance model and the insurance mindset. It is what it is for that person. It makes sense. They don't know what they don't know, I think.
Stockholm syndrome. Like, we've been beaten and held hostage by this insurance model for so long. We're now reiterating their propaganda for them, where we're like, no, we have to do this. And now it's coming out in ethics. Like, the call is coming from the inside of the house. Like, we are now going to be the reason for our own demise. Like, and this isn't the reason, like, don't get me wrong. This isn't why, like, responding to John Russon's post about never, like, this isn't me wishing that things are going to happen. This is me, like, almost like being the crazy guy with the sandwich board and unshaven and unkempt on the corner yelling, like, it's coming, pay attention. And we blissfully walk off the ledge like lemmings, which, by the way, lemmings don't follow each other off a cliff, which is so ironic. That was made up. Ostriches don't put their head in the sand. That's made up too. But when we say things enough, we start to believe them, like it'll never happen. And I don't know, man. Dan Vapney just commented when we were talking about the experience. He's like, did you ever see Westworld? Did you guys ever see Westworld? Do you know what we're talking about?
No.
So Westworld was an HBO show, and essentially it was a theme park set in the future. This is probably 5 to 10 years ago. And you went in as a human, and the whole place was like 10 times the size of Disney. It was the Wild West, but there were android robots walking around that were indistinguishable from humans. You could shoot them. You could do other things that humans like to do to other, humans, but it was fully immersive. And 10 years ago, this was really, really cute science fiction. I don't know if we're 2 or 3 steps away from that right now. Like the word is exponential. I'm not even sure if I remember what that means. Like it's so fast that you can't even comprehend fast. Like we talk about hockey sticks and things like going, up and to the right. I am a complete amateur hour when it comes to like this. I'm a spectator, but even I'm looking at it going, holy shit.
So I'd love to hear
Okay,
your.
the soft.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I got a kind of different topic.
I was just going to say the software version of this artificial intelligence, right? You type in stuff in ChatGPT, you give it prompts, it gives you something back. It can write up a blog post. It could give you an exercise routine. It can give you recipes. It can give you whatever in text form. That will continue to have exponential growth, improvements, all that. I still firmly believe when you're talking about the in-person world, Jimmy, I think we're so far away from whatever you're talking about with a Tony Maritato clone looking like a human, but it's not actually the original Tony Maritato, or the Android version of one of our humans, neighbors, friends out there. I think we're so far away from that. I think the software version of the AI, yeah, that'll continue to improve. That'll continue to impress us and make leaps and bounds. But in terms of the in-person, I mean, we're ordering food from Whole Foods, we're ordering food from BJ's. I mean, it's still humans dropping off the food. I mean, we don't even have self-driving cars fully. We don't. How come we don't have self-driving cars picking up people from the airport all the time? Like 100% of the time, or dropping off food, or like I don't want to go stand in the line at Walgreens. It's horrible to stand in line. It's like one of the things I despise most in the world is like standing in line at like a Walgreens or a Rite Aid or some pharmacy. Like, and there's still humans behind the register. It's like we're not even close to that, guys.
All of the registers. Because I check myself out most of the time, like slowly at first and then all at once. Slowly at first. So like you can go to San Francisco.
It's been
and get
years of self-checkout registers that have been around for years, and they're still slowly. How many years is slowly? How many years? How many years until they roll this out? Until there's no clerks or register workers? How many more years? 5 or 10?
We used to have tails.
Very slow.
We used to have tails. I'm right. That's why never is such a shitty word to use if you honestly believe that. Because we used to have tails. And if someone was like, we're not going to have tails because tails have gotten 50% smaller. Where are the tails going? I don't know. But like, this is within our lifetime, I believe. Like, how long have we been doing self-checkout?
A couple of years. I don't know, 10 years. I have no idea. But I agree. I think the stat that I saw was like 27% of all rides in San Francisco were Waymo or self-driving or whatever. All of the taxi rides, like, so it's gonna be.
Why isn't it more? Money and legislation, like that's with everything. The humans are. Homer Simpson said it best. The humans are the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. He actually didn't say that. He said that about beer. Beer is the cause of and solution. But I put humans in there. But that's the limiting factor. We'll go as fast as we want to go. If there was no legislation, Waymos would be everywhere by now, right? But it's this next leap. It's slowly at first and then all at once. Like you're not going to have to explain this to a kid born tomorrow. I don't think we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to explain the stuff we're doing now to a kid born tomorrow. It's gonna be vastly different.
Stephen Dunn said hundreds of Waymos in Austin. So let me ask you guys, and this is an old question. I mean, this was a question that we were asking 25 years ago when I was just getting started. In your own words, what is, because some people in our profession use personal training as a derogatory term, like, oh, he's just a glorified personal trainer. In your own words, how do you differentiate personal trainer from physical therapist, or occupational therapist from physical therapist? Like I had shared a post recently also saying, look, if I was a young person today wanting to get into this field, I think I'd go OT route because I don't have to get a doctorate. It's a quicker, educational process. In my mind, I can virtually do the same stuff. I can build the same CPT codes, but I can get out and start working a year sooner or whatever it is. So in my mind, I would say, okay, physical therapist, yes, it encompasses personal training. Personal training is an aspect of what we do. We just have a deeper level of knowledge when it comes to injury, pathology, disease. But ultimately, like, personal training is what we do. It's the core of what many of us, just like massage therapy is the core of what other physical therapists do. It's within the profession. Occupational therapy versus physical therapy, in my mind, it's really just the perspective of, and this is the way I would describe it to somebody is, okay, so historically, PTs approach the body, muscles and bones. We work on specific deficits to improve function. OTs say, well, what's the functional deficit? Let's do more of that. You know, Dave, baseball, I want to be better at batting. Okay, a PT would say, well, let's work on your shoulder range of motion. Let's work on your strength. Let's work on your speed. An OT would say, okay, let's swing a bat. Like, let's swing a bat a whole lot more. Personally, I think PT is within OT, just like personal trainer is within PT. I honestly think that OT is the all-encompassing, most logical, easiest thing. Now, I think there's a faction trying to push OT in a different direction. I'm not a fan of it. I don't understand why they're doing that, but that's what they're trying to do. What do you guys like? How do you compartmentalize?
What other direction? What direction are you talking about?
I think they're trying to go
more fine motor
mental
skills,
more mental health, more psychology, like stuff like that.
coaching type stuff.
I don't see the relationship. Dave, how do you, or somebody?
I think I had this prediction before, which is eventually it'll be one profession, right? Like if you, it'll go one way or the other. It'll be one profession. It'll be a rehab professional that can do, quote, all the things, to like cherry pick and become a Voltron, which is like all the best things from each of the professions, or it'll continue to get more and more specific and more niche to the point of obsolescence, to the point of like, I'm not even sure it's so niche. I'm not even sure why I use you. Like average person couldn't tell you the difference between PTOT, speech pathology. Like that is a great profession, but a horrible name because it really doesn't say anything about what they do. It's confusing, right? Scott said it's all about who's paying.
And I mean, I don't like, so Tony, you're asking like, how do we compartmentalize like these different professionals? I don't think about this. I don't think about this ever. I don't know. Like in terms of how we collaborate and share patients. Yeah. Like I would probably say like a layman, you know, if I had a patient we have currently and previously clients and patients where they wanted an OT or they wanted some specialized hand program. And so we don't have a CHT, a certified hand therapist. So we might refer them. And we like, how are they different? Maybe a patient will ask and we'll say, OTs do a little bit more of fine motor activities and specialize a little bit more between like the hand and the brain or the brain and the hand and dexterity and fine motor techniques and relearning how to dress and bathe and, do buttons and zippers and feed yourself and all that. But otherwise, like, I don't really think about breaking them down or what's the differentiators.
You reminded me, I totally forgot. Like there was a time, and I don't know if it's still like this in the hospital, OT did all upper extremity and PT did all lower extremity. Like
that's crazy. That's how that was during my, what's Jimmy holding up? I can't see it.
I can't see it.
Finish it. I'll bring it back in. I don't want to change the subject.
Jimmy's got too many cameras. He's holding up to the wrong camera. When I had a rotation at a skilled nursing facility in South Jersey in 2009 or something, 2010, something like that. That's exactly how it was, Tony. The OTs did upper body, PTs did lower body. The OTs did, pushing and pulling and overhead and all that. And then the PTs did the legs and the standing and the walking and all that. It was very odd.
Wow. All right, so here's a separate topic, kind of specific to you, Dave, your world. Right now, I guess there's another bill or something going on where they're pushing opt-out status for physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech language pathologists. For those listening, I've said it, I'll say it again. I hate Congress and politics and all of that stuff. I don't think that gets us any closer to where we want to be. I think it's just playing the game. But that being said, being able to opt out of Medicare, enter into a private contract with a Medicare beneficiary so that they have the right to choose to pay you out of pocket for covered services. This is specifically for Medicare covered. We can already do non-covered, doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know anything about politics. I don't know what else is in the bill. I generally assume it's going to hurt us in the long run. But I want to put it out there that, you know, there are some APTA posts and there's other cash-based providers that are talking about this. And just so people understand, you can be par with Medicare. You can be non-par with Medicare. Both of those require you to be contracted. Both of those require you to submit claims on behalf of the Medicare beneficiary. Basically, they have all of the same. It's not like a non-par provider or a, I'm blanking out of network provider for commercial insurance. It's nothing like that. If you're not one of those two things, par, non-par, both of which are contracted with Medicare, you are unaffiliated, meaning you have no connection to Medicare, but you're still obligated to submit a claim. It's called the mandatory claim submission law. So if you're a physical therapist and you're doing what would be a covered service, you're required by law to submit a claim for that service. And if you're not in the Medicare system, they can't process the claim. So you are violating that mandatory claim submission law. The fourth designation is opt out. There's a small list of providers who are eligible to opt out. PTOT SLP is not on that list currently. So they're trying to make it so that like chiropractors and other healthcare providers that aren't on the list would be added to the list so we could actively opt out of Medicare, accept Medicare beneficiaries for self-pay rates in a private contract for what would be a covered service. I said I was going to share that. I want people to go out and find it, research it for yourself, make your own decision. But Dave, anything in the news or topics that you noticed or had been thinking about lately?
Well, when you were talking about legislation, I thought you were talking about the other screenshot that you sent about, I guess it's New York State.
Oh, yeah.
The legislation around expanding New Yorkers' access to physical therapy.
Yeah.
And a state lawmaker said Tuesday that work continues to expand the scope of practice for a variety of state licensed medical professionals to address an ongoing staffing crisis. Do you have some highlights on this? It looks like it's talking about physical therapist assistants, treatment and care plan without the physical therapist having to be physically present to oversee them.
Yeah. I didn't know New York State Practice Act laws. I didn't know that a physical therapist assistant needed direct supervision within the state guideline. Medicare changed the federal Medicare guideline to indirect or general supervision for assistants. But individual states could have more stringent guidelines. I'm curious in your perspective. I know you don't do a lot of work with the physical therapist assistant, but in my mind, in my world, the physical therapist assistant is like the perfect professional to deliver the care, to deliver the treatment. That is what that category is designed to do. They're a specialized tool within the system that they should be delivering the care. The PT does the eval, develops the plan of care, oversees or supervises, establishes goals with the patient. The PTA is the one that actually delivers the treatment. So with this new change to the law in New York, they can do that without direct supervision of the physical therapist. But you, outside of that system, I'm just curious, do you see the PTA as, quote, the assistant who just does what the PT says? They're there to wipe down mats and get patients ready? Or are they genuine professionals, as I see them, who are more than capable of doing every single thing that I can do, that any of us can do, when it comes to the delivery of the patient care?
Man, I always like to pick a side and go firmly and confidently in that direction. I could see both. So we've interviewed a few PTAs. We have not hired or coached or trained or mentored any PTAs, but there are definitely a few PTAs, even recently in the past like couple months, that I've spoken with that were impressive over the phone. And I could see how, as long as it's okay, even with the self-pay. So if the patient or client is self-paying for our service, and either I or one of my therapists do an in-person evaluation, or like you said, a telehealth evaluation for the first visit, but then the next visit, like visit number 2, is in person now with the PTA. I do think, at least from New Jersey State Practice Act, where I practiced years ago, and New York now, the way it has been where I've worked when I was working in network practices was the physical therapist develops the plan of care. They do the evaluation, the plan of care, and then they do the reassessment, the reevaluations, and then the discharge. And like you said, in the goal setting, and tweaking the plan, tweaking the goals along the way. Um, but also, like during the plans of care, I don't know if I could see how some of them might be a great solution for actually carrying out all the treatment. I don't know about all the treatment. You're kind of saying like they would be the perfect puzzle piece for all the treatment. Maybe I think it depends on the PTA. But
It
like
depends on the P.
it
It depends on the
depends on the
PT too,
PTA.
right? There are plenty of
Right,
PTs
right.
that I wouldn't want treating my mom, my dad, like my family members. So that's a universal thing. My thing is, to my understanding, and someone can tell me I'm wrong, the curriculum, the schooling, like the education system, that's what it is teaching the physical therapist assistant. The curriculum encompasses the scope of practice for the PTA, everything associated with delivering a patient care visit. What they're trying to sequester, what they're trying to arbitrarily kind of put up a barrier around, is to say, oh, well, the PTA can't assess. Well, they have to assess to deliver care. Well, the PTA can't plan. Well, they have to plan to deliver the care. Like, they are doing all of the stuff. This is the dumbest thing in the world when it comes to these arbitrary rules. But this is politics. So I would still defer to, when a PTA goes into a PTA academic program, you look at the curriculum, it is designed for the PTA to be a service provider at the same level of a physical therapist when it comes to the delivery of care. We can say, okay, we are the ones, we do the eval, we do the plan, we do the goals, we do that stuff. Outside of that, man, the PTA is equal to the PT in knowledge and scope when it comes to delivering the service. I wish we chose a better name than PT assistant. It's like Michael Scott and The Office. All right, I'm gonna. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Scott, you're here. Can you hear me? Okay, just let me know in the chat. We'll give it a second here. You said in the comment, feels the same way about the appropriate use of PTA in order for PTs to work at the highest level of their license. I'm going to keep going. Okay, Stephen hears me. I lost my crew, but that's okay. So point being, I wish they chose a better name, a different name than physical therapist assistant. I think that I've heard physician assistants might be changing the name of what they are called. I was referencing The Office. That I think Dwight was assistant to the regional manager, but he wanted to be called assistant regional manager. All right, thank you for letting me know you guys can still hear me. Point being, PTAs, OTAs, they're incredible professionals. They have all of the skills, knowledge, and the scope to deliver the service independently. I'm so happy now in states like New York, here in Ohio forever, they don't need direct on-site supervision. They're able to work independently, which is really what they're capable of. In regards to other topics, near and dear to my heart related to the profession. So a question came up in the Medicare billing Facebook group, which was, hang on a sec, which was, Dave, if you hear me, I can't let you in because I don't have admin access. If a therapist is treating a Medicare beneficiary under Medicare reimbursement, and they want to also deliver a service for the same minutes to a self-pay individual, the question is that allowed? The answer is no, it's not. Basically, the way Medicare, and more specifically, the way AMA designed the CPT code definition is one-on-one. And by that definition, if I'm delivering a minute of care to Stephen, I can't sell that same minute of care to Scott. So it doesn't matter what the insurance company is, doesn't matter if it's self-pay or United or Aetna or anything. Within the definition of the CPT code, I am restricted to saying, okay, from 8 o'clock to 8:10, I am spending those 10 minutes with Scott and exclusively with Scott. Now, that doesn't mean that Stephen can't be in the gym. Stephen can't be doing his own thing. Stephen can't be doing general exercise and working on his mobility and other stuff. Medicare actually published a great guideline that showed 3 patients in the clinic, all concurrent, all at the same time. Billing a 10-minute block with patient A, an 8-minute block with patient B, a 13-minute block with patient C. While I'm working with patient A, patient B and C are doing their own stuff that doesn't require the supervision of a therapist. Maybe patient B is riding a recumbent bike, patient C is doing some mobility work. And then when the therapist is done with 10 minutes on patient A, he moves to patient B. This is the model that I use and I love and I embrace in my physical therapy clinic, because it allows me to bring life into the clinic, bring multiple people into the clinic. And if I spend 30 minutes doing a single unit on each of the 3 patients, and those 3 patients are all there concurrently, socializing, talking, laughing, having a great time, what that does is it eliminates the negative impact of MPPR, the multiple payment procedure reduction, procedure payment reduction, whatever. It builds team and community. And it's one of those things that allows me to increase access. Also, let's say I've got 3 people scheduled at 8 o'clock and one of the 3 people has to cancel. Okay, so then I just divide the 30 minutes among the other people. It gives me redundancy, so I don't have to penalize the person who can't come or who has to cancel or no show. I built a business that works with the patient population I'm treating. I'm not treating high-end athletes. In fact, I used to see a lot of high school athletes. I had my CSCS. I did strength and conditioning for years. I had my USAW club coach certification. Like, I was supposed to be a therapist who treated high school athletes. I didn't want to be that therapist. And over the years, those athletes found other sources to help them. I'm happy for that, because now I've cultivated the community that I want. The community that I want are independent living adults that are geriatric, that are struggling with mobility issues, that have some aches and pains that I can help them with. But in reality, you know, they just need to come in. They need to socialize. They need to connect with community. They need to find a purpose, that their kids have grown. Maybe they moved out of the area. A lot of them are living alone. Maybe a spouse has passed away and they just feel lost. And so we want to create that experience for them where they could feel part of the family again. They can come in and see their friends. Yeah, Dave is still trying to get on. But anyway, Samuel said, I know of clinics that use exercise physiologists to deliver the exercises that were chosen by a PT, and the PT is only doing the manual therapy. Yeah, I mean, I used to have a model where the LMT would deliver the manual therapy. Now, it wasn't reimbursed by insurance, specifically Medicare. But patients were much happier to pay out of pocket for a 15-minute massage LMT treatment delivered by an LMT. And I was happy to let them do that. Samuel, my problem right now in today's market with a lot of that, I can't hire an ATC. I can't hire an exercise physiologist. I can't hire an LMT for much less, if any less, than I can hire a physical therapist assistant and sometimes a PT. So when I look at the versatility, I'm like, okay, PTA can treat Medicare beneficiaries, can deliver reimbursable services, and can provide manual therapy, and can provide exercise, prescriptions, and for independent clients. They can do everything that I want them to do, and they have the clinical knowledge, the scope of practice to really kind of handle just about everything. For me, I'd rather put that money to work on a great PTA. And generally speaking, we've paid our PTAs as much as we pay our PTs, because for what they do, they deliver the value, they execute on the plan. They're just an incredible resource. I really have no problem paying a PTA the same rate that I pay a PT, because in our model, they generally deliver the same outcome that a PT would deliver. And with me being the primary evaluator right now, I don't need them to do evaluations. I don't need them to do progress reports. I don't need them to do a lot of the things that a PT would do. So, all right, guys, I don't want to drag it out. Looks like we're closing in on the hour. As always, we appreciate you guys showing up. We appreciate you guys engaging. The comments are awesome. I'm going to sign off for both Dave and Jimmy today. Parting shots, I think we live in a world that requires classifications. What's a personal trainer? What's a PT? What's an OT? What's an LMT? But once we step out of that kind of box, I think we realize that there's a ton of overlap. There's a ton of value. At the end of the day, all we want is somebody who has a big heart, who has some empathy, who has the logic and the knowledge we need to solve the problem. And once we find that, man, that is like a piece of gold. We want to protect that, hold on to that, do everything we can for that. So, David's here. David, looks like, yeah, I am, buddy. It's my favorite time of year. Best week of the year. The boys are on the beach fishing. We go beach to pool to beach. I will catch you guys next week back in the clinic. Thank you all for showing up. I'm going to end it.